Awesome. All righty. Everyone can see my screen? All right. I'm sure I talked to all of you already, so no need, but I will do the formalities. My name is Dr. Wanda Eugene. I'm the director of the Collaboratory for Inclusive Entrepreneurship at the University of Florida. We're part of the UF Innovate, and that's the, we're under the Department of College of Research. And so it's the commercialization arm of the university. And we'll hear so much about it as we go through the whole program that I won't go into a whole lot of details. But when you think about all the cool technology that comes out of universities and that make its way to you, that process is mitigated by a tech transfer commercialization unit of the university. And that's where we sit in. And so that's really important. So, you know, UF's claim to fame has always been Gatorade. If you're not familiar with Gatorade, then welcome into a whole lot of other technologies that have made its way from, you know, amazing scientists that, you know, pondered a question and then created some great innovation. But innovation spans the gamut, not just at the university, but in a broader society, and that is what we foster. So the Collaboratory is all about supporting women and founders of color across the state of Florida, launching and sustaining and growing tech businesses. And a lot of your businesses, as you'll meet each other, are all over the scope, and you're wondering, how is that tech? In this day and age, there is tech in all areas of our business and lives. And we really push in helping you trying to identify those pieces so you can remain sustainable, you can grow, and you can be competitive. And so those are the things that we really focus on. Like I said, we'll talk about that more as we go through. But I wanted to first kind of bring you to our hone in on why we're here today. And so our 10 and 5 program is our newest addition that we're super excited about. We launched that last year. We are funded by the EDA. The EDA is under the Department of Commerce, and it is the only branch of the government that really focuses on economic development. And so a lot of our resources and the things that we do are from that arm. And with this grant, we started with an idea, myself and my co-PI that I'll introduce in a second. Well, what does it take to really kind of foster this growth so we can kind of get some high growth, high earning tech entrepreneurs coming from founders of color and women? And what kind of resources can we surround you around to build in that support system so you too can have these opportunities that we're often seeing in other sectors? And so we started on this journey. And so as a lot of you have heard and know that with 10 and 5, it's 3 tiers. So this is the Pre-Incubator. So you guys are fresh out the block. And so with this program, you will see that for some of you, this is kind of old news, been there, done that, that's fine. And so some of those pieces, I want you to take the nuggets that are unfamiliar to you and think about how you can level up what you're currently doing if this is not new information, or you can support others, right? So this cohort is really about supporting each other as we grow, right? And as you support each other, sometimes you'll find out some flaws in your thinking or some areas of improvement. So that is really important as we kind of go through this process and learning about how do we kind of make use of the information that we hear, because you all, even though you're all in the pre-incubator stage, you are at various increments in there. So some of you have existing businesses that you're adding on pieces, and some of you are, I just have an idea and I'm still trying to figure out how to shake it out. And we put you all together so we can really help you build all those components so that you are competitive and successful once you leave this program. So that is essentially kind of what this, how the 10 and 5 pre-incubator program is around and what we focus on. So I see your hand, but give me a second to kind of get through this intro and we will get to you. Or you can put a question in the chat and JB or Katie can help you there.
All right.
All right, so meeting the team. So like I said, my name is Dr. Wanda Eugene. I go by various aliases. You can call me Dr. Wanda, you can call me Dr. Eugene. If you call me something I don't answer, try something else. I might answer that one. So you pick one and it's all good. Like I said, my partner in crime in creating this is Dr. Chris Ford. He is at FIU. And we, by combining efforts across our institutions, we're trying to cover the state and really kind of being powerhouses and being a resource. JB is our program coordinator. You will see a lot of messages. A lot of your initial correspondence has been with me, but from here on out, a lot of your correspondence and questions will be answered by JB, and she will direct you to the appropriate person and appropriate resources. JB, you want to say a few words?
No, I just want to say hi, and I'm super excited. Y'all don't understand. We've been planning this and working with this grant and brainstorming Katie and just everyone you see for such a long time. And so I'm super excited that you all get to dive into it. So we'll talk more, but yeah, this is gonna be great. Okay, bye.
All right, next we have Nell. You won't necessarily see Nell early on. You'll see Nell as you guys move more into, once we solidify what your product is, and once we kind of think through what your business model is, Nell will kind of come in there to really help you think, okay, what does the tech behind that look like, and help put those pieces. So Nell will become your best friend as we get further through this cohort. And then Katie is going to be your lifeline in helping make sense of this. Like I said, and some of you guys, with this information, it's not new, right? It's kind of one of those like, okay, that's a piece I should add on to my business. And for some of you, it's going to feel like you're drinking from a fire hydrant, right? That's okay. And we understand that, right? Because building a business, a lot of the process to it is thinking about these different pieces, thinking about the audience, thinking about the problem, right? And helping you navigate that can be, navigating that is very challenging. And so Katie will be on the back end helping you kind of think through those pieces. And sometimes it's just like speaking out loud about it, right? Or sometimes it's just writing it out and getting it out of your head is really how we unpack these pieces. And that's what kind of, Katie will be on the back end kind of pushing your thinking on that. Katie, you want to chime in a little bit?
Sure. Thanks, Wanda. And yeah, sorry everyone that I don't have my camera tonight. Very excited to see all of you though. Yeah, I will be there. You'll get random messages from me asking, about things. I've already started looking at some of the websites, really excited to dig into this process with each of you. And before I got my master's in business, I knew one of the reasons why I went was because I knew nothing, like zero. Business speak was not part of my story growing up. And so you cannot ask me a dumb question. If you're stressed out about something, anything at all, feel free to just feel really comfortable with reaching out to me. I am here for whatever you guys need. So.
Awesome. So that and all is the core team. We do have other resource providers that will come along as you go through the program, but the first few weeks, probably about the first 5 weeks, it's going to be us, because we really want to kind of build you up in terms of the entrepreneur, the brand, the business, the product, really unpack things together before we bring in other resources. And that's just really important to how we build. And you'll hear more about that as we go through the process. So a couple of housekeeping for some of you, you've already received, you received your emails, it says, that welcomes you, and you receive your login, and you have signed your commitment agreements. So your commitment agreement, financial, confidentiality agreements. Yes. We have thumbs up. Yes. Thumbs down. No. I know a couple people. All right. Yep. I see you, Inez. Awesome. I know a couple people. We were a little late adding you to the platform, and we'll get that all resolved by tonight, tomorrow. And so you should have those agreements. And once those agreements are signed, you'll be onboarded into the course, and you have some assignments there. And it's just kind of you getting through some things. And we're going to talk more about the course site in a little bit, but I wanted you guys to have just those initial things done. So just some housekeeping, and you'll get a survey tomorrow or Wednesday. We're still kind of working out some kinks there. And this is just some early stage kind of thinking assessment of where you are on things. So it's not homework, it's not intense, we just want to gauge where we're starting so we can gauge our growth in this and how we're growing and how we're assisting. And so the syllabus in terms of what we're going to cover during this is on this course site that we'll cover in a little bit, but this is just some general housekeeping of some things. So before we get started, I love to do a little icebreaker, because you've all learned a little bit about me, but we don't know about you. So What we're going to do is we're going to, and sometimes I do this in breakouts, but let's see if we can get through this pretty quickly. So I want you to kind of get your thinking hats on. So I want you to tell everyone your name, what you hope to get out of this program, and what could be the craziest thing that could happen if your expectations are of the program are met, right? So think through it, and then we're going to go round robin here based on how you guys are appearing on my screen. All right, let's see who is starting off. Nadine, you are first up. You're muted.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Nadine Ullman. What I hope to get out of the program, I have an idea for a long time. I would like to take it from paper to a tech application that everybody can use. And the craziest thing that would happen would be, I'd be retired. I would retire.
Nice. Nice. All right, Marnisha.
Hi, I'm Marnisha Burney, and my company is A Plus Touch Cleaning Company. What I like to get out of the program is to learn more about the techie side. I've been in business since 2017, but still feel like I'm a little amateur in some things, and would love to learn some more strategies on how to be more successful with structuring my company. The wildest thing is that I could become a company that is franchised throughout the United States. That would be my wildest dream.
I love it. Absolutely love it. All righty, Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Tomei. What do I hope to get out of the program? I have a personal concierge business, and I am that friend. And I hope to but I feel I haven't been doing it professionally as long as Marnisha, but I feel like I have no structure. I'm just kind of winging it. I'm just doing what I do. So the craziest thing would be that it would be a legit, dare I say, right? Like a business that could be franchise or just help and serve so many. I'm big on social impact, so I want to help households, one household at a time, and spread the word. Yeah, thank you for all of you.
Awesome, awesome. Inez.
Hi, my name is Ines Samea. I have I was going to say small company, a small LLC, but we can't speak small, right? So I have a company that it's a self-care line that where I make body butters, body scrubs, candles, looking at self-care holistically. And I'm hoping through this program, to make my business more profitable. I've only been in business for about a year. And to understand how to automate my system, think about structure and scaling, making it more profitable, making it more efficient. And I think the craziest thing that would happen if my expectations were met through the program, I could be making high 6 figures or even 7 figures in about a year and a half or so, 2 years.
Awesome, awesome. Miss Lewis.
Hi there, Atisha Lewis. I'll update my Zoom name so you can see the full thing. I started, in my mind, I've started neighborhoodcsa.com. I'm similar to Nadine, where my idea is on paper. So I'm hoping that by the end of the program, I'll have my MVP and it'll be built out and I can test it out in the market. The craziest thing that could happen if my expectations are met is that it could, explode, become a unicorn. I can retire as well and live on multiple continents. That would be great.
I love it. I love it. Dale.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dale. I am Dale Dollar, like money. That's my name. What do I hope to get out of this program? Honestly, I hope to reach a different audience. I hope that this will yield something that will start a new wave. What could be the craziest thing that could happen if my expectations are met? Honestly, the thought of blending something old with something new is exciting, and I've seen it work plenty of times, and I just feel like it would thrust a lot of things into the future moving forward and how other things would operate. I don't want to say too much without saying too much, but I feel like Miss Wanda Eugene understands what I'm talking about. So yeah. But that's where I hope to get out of the program and retire early, like everybody else.
Awesome. Chris.
Hello, my name is Christopher Walker. I am with Audition app. What I hope to get out of the program is just like a business mindset, like a mindset that can help both my team and other teams and future like endeavors that I plan to make. And the craziest thing that can happen for the business is creating more businesses in tandem with the one I have now. Yeah, I don't want to stop with the business that I have now. I want to keep going and just start creating more and more projects. So that's probably the craziest thing.
Awesome. Sylvia.
Hello, my name is Sylvia Powell. What I hope to get out of this program is I hope to be able to connect more families with agriculture in the realm of whatever it may be, mental illness, and whether it be self-sustainability. So I'm helping, I would like to do that. That's my goal and what I'm trying to get out of this and make it obtainable for everyone, okay? Regardless if you're disabled, you're a senior, that's my goal. And the craziest thing that can happen is that these practices and this model that would be adapted nationwide to fill in the gaps with underserved communities and just across the board is, therapeutic across the board.
Awesome. Awesome. Conrad.
I think I'm more motivated to get my certification. Get out of the program. I would like to sort of establish a framework to sort of develop a successful business model out of community energy modernization project. So one of the current initiatives of the administration is the Justice 40 initiative, where 40% of the benefits of the renewable energy transition that is occurring should directly benefit underrepresented, underserved communities. So utilizing East Gainesville as a template, sort of as a pilot, there's already a grant that has been awarded from the DOE. It's a technical assistance grant to essentially map out a framework and do preliminary studies for subsequent grants that are, sort of connection with that to implement energy efficiency, modern energy efficiency sort of systems and renewable energy systems within these communities that are underserved and have high disproportionately high utility bills and sort of highly inefficient energy systems, highly efficient sort of infrastructure, and sort of implement the ensure that this energy transition essentially benefits again underrepresented, underserved communities. So like that is the idea in utilizing East Gainesville as a pilot, and hopefully to be able to implement that model in different communities throughout the state and throughout the nation.
Awesome. Awesome. You have a little bit of background noise that's hard to hear, but I think we captured what you were trying to say. Great job, Conrad. And I think Patrick, did we lose Patrick? It looks like he's might be having some connection issues. So we'll grab him when he jumps back on. Wait, is it connected? Oh yeah, it looked like it's still teetering along. All righty, so With that being said, what we're going to do now is we're going to jump right into reviewing the platform. This will be, so a lot of our correspondence so far has been via email, but from this point on, a lot of our correspondence will be within your course site. And Katie is going to do a high-level overview of that course site. We'll have some tutorials on how to access and upload things that'll be on there shortly. But for now, she'll kind of navigate you through just in case you guys are a little unfamiliar with using a course site like this. So, so this will just kind of help you guys just kind of orient yourselves, and even like the first assignment in terms of being able to post a bio, a picture, and some of the things that we have listed. If you're not exactly clear on how to do that, this should help out. Take it from here, Katie.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So this is a test account. Can everyone see my screen? Yes, yes. Okay, I see nodding heads. Great. So you'll notice, one of the first things you'll notice is that the navigation menu from before you log in to after you log in changes. So it'll say sign in the upper corner where it says test account here. For yours, it should say your name, not test account. And it'll have some new things. So dashboard appears, community appears. Under the dashboard, this is where you'll find your course. So this is really like your main area. And so you'll be signed up for 2 courses. So the first one is the welcome and terms. And that's just those initial agreements. So we just want to make sure that you sign your confidentiality and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it just to kind of, and so you should see terms of the program. When you click on that, it'll say start assignment. So you'll just kind of go through the prompts, follow the little blue buttons, and you should be good. Once you finish this course and you do those assignments, we will sign you up so that you see this edit spring 2022. So you might not see that right away because we need you to sign those documents first. So we'll enroll you, and then you'll click on this and you'll see just some basic information. Obviously the website, here's a link to our Zoom link that we'll use the same consistent Zoom throughout. It has the times of the classes. It also says for the 2 holiday weeks, Memorial Day and July 4th, it gives that Wednesday is going to be longer. There's no Mondays on that one. And it's actually spells it out down below. So you can, if you want to go ahead and put all this stuff in your calendar, feel free to. All the information's there. And then there's the lessons. So you'll see a little blurb and it just goes through each week. Some weeks are broken into 2 modules. So for instance, this week is broken into 2 modules. So you'll have one module tonight and you'll have the next module on Wednesday. So if you go ahead and click on, and if you guys have questions, we can go over this one-on-one. We can talk on the phone. Feel free to reach out. I'm just doing a kind of quick flyby right now to give you the lay of the land. So you'll see what the overview for the week is. There's a little quote, what you should be able to do, your goals, and then some lesson files. And then it'll say start assignment. So, and this will go along with what Wanda presents each week for you. So you'll go through your assignments. So the first set of assignments are things that are actually going to help you navigate the site and just make sure that you're comfortable with it. So for instance, check off this assignment by clicking on it. Ta-da! And then edit your profile. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. A community forum, and then respond to someone else, and then explore. So I'm going to go through these things really, really quickly. So the first thing is editing your profile. So if you go up here, I'm going to move my little Zoom bar. If you go up here under profile, it should, my internet's kind of slow right now. You can edit your profile and it will have fields that you don't see immediately once you edit it. So go in, add what you can. We totally understand if you don't have it all yet, like you might not know your mission and vision statements. It's also okay in business to just iterate. So you can put what you've got now down, and that's great. And we can keep finessing as time goes on. So you'll want to work on getting your profile up to date. Also, you'll want to go and check out the Edit Community Forum. So if you go up to Community, in here, you can either do a new discussion or you can click on something and respond to it. So I'd love for everyone to just go ahead, test it out. If you write something that's wrong, or there's no real wrong, just go ahead, play around with the site. We want you to feel comfortable with it. This is the week to do that. And then you'll just push reply, and then you can say hello to everyone. And then let's see, am I going too fast, or am I, do I still, how are you guys doing? Quick check-in. I see a thumbs up. Okay. All right. And so then the last thing that I want to point out is the members area. So if you go to members, you can see everybody here and you can see their profiles. So look around as people keep updating their profiles. It's so fun to check out everyone and see what they're doing. And you know, Wanda, JB, and I have the pleasure of getting to read all the applications and know about you, but you guys don't get to know about each other yet. So please go ahead and fill stuff out so that other people can learn about you and your business. And then you can use this little feature with a little envelope, and you can message someone. So I'm messaging myself, and you can also get to it up here. When you have a new message or a notification, if you subscribe to the forum, it'll show up here. Like if someone replies to your post, you'll get a little, red bubble that says the number of notifications. And with that, that is the very, very quick lay of the land. But how is everyone feeling? Any questions initially? Okay, so if you do have questions, this little thing, this new message to Katie is exactly where you're going to want to go. And just send me a message and let me know, or you can email me and I will help you out. Like I said, I'm happy to jump on whenever, and we can do it one-on-one through phone or Zoom or whatever you guys need. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Wanda.
Awesome, thank you, Katie. This is really important because, like I said, we will use this for a lot of our majority of our correspondence as we move forward. And it's just easier because it's easy for stuff to get lost in email and, like, yeah, I sent that out. And it's just, it's kind of hard for us to kind of get everyone in place. And so this will be our way of making sure that you have all of your materials in the same place. And so think about, as you're going through this course, it's almost like you're building a business portfolio. And so everything that you learn will be here. Everything that you create for your business will be here. One of the questions I often get, are we doing a business plan? We do not do a business plan in here. We do a business model, because that is alive and that is something you're constantly testing and changing. But every time you make an iteration, we're giving you feedback and you have it in one place, you extract from this. So if you think about a business model, it's like an outline for your business plan, and you've tested the pieces. And then now that when you're done, you can easily create a business plan because you know your revenue model, you know what's the value you're providing, you know your costs, you know all the different things that will feed into that business plan. And that is our goal to build out here. I see Patrick has joined us. Patrick, you want to do a quick introduction? Just tell us like your name. Well, I said Patrick, but either tell us your name, what you hope to get out of the class, and what's the craziest thing that would happen if all your expectations with the program is met. Patrick might be having a hard time getting off of audio. Okay, well, we'll be ready for you whenever you are ready, Patrick. Alrighty, so With that being said, do we have any questions so far? I know we've been kind of throwing a lot of different stuff at you. I just want to make sure you guys are good before we move forward. Questions, comments, concerns? No? Chris, I think you got a question? Yes, there we go.
Yes, I just, so I understand that we have a module, but is it due today specifically? So as soon as we get off the Zoom call, everything that we discussed, the day of is due the day of?
No, so the module, good question. So your module is essentially the things that we're covering that day. So the intro was part of module 1 that we just did. And then the things that we're going to cover shortly is also part of module 1. So these are all things. So those things, the assignment that Katie just talked about, learning the course site, being able to update your profile, all of that is part of module 1, right? Does that make sense?
Right, but is that, when is the due date for all of these assignments?
Yeah, so the assignments are due. So what we try to do is spend half our time together working through some of those assignments, and then you work on those between now and the next class. And so this isn't a graded course. And so we don't have like hard, like you turn it in by this day or you fail, but this course does snowball, it builds on itself, right? And so the things we cover in module 1, we're going to leverage those in module 2. And so we try to like really push you to try to get the modules done, before we start the next module, so you can kind of have that traction to build on. We understand life happens, and if you have to kind of wait to the weekend to get it done, but you don't want to get to the point where you're 2 modules behind, because the things that we're saying and doing are not going to have as much value, because like I said, we're building on, it's a build on course, right? And so no, it's not necessarily due that day, but we do it because like I said, we're constantly providing feedback and information. You don't want to fall behind, so you want to try to get those assignments for those modules done before the next class as best as possible. Great question. Any other questions? One thing I want to mention that I kind of like highlighted with the agreements that you all signed that we always talk about, when it comes to building a business, a lot of people are sometimes afraid of sharing in these platforms. And that's why we have these confidentiality agreements. And it's more for you guys. We want this to be a safe space, because we want, a lot of you all are solopreneurs. And so until you build a team, you need that insight, you need that input as you're kind of fleshing things out. And we want you to feel comfortable speaking about these things, but we also want to know, what happens in 10 and 5 edit stays in 10 and 5 edit, right? You don't want to feel like I'm sharing these ideas to try to help build, and then someone's like, oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to take this to my friends so we can build it, right? We don't want that. We really want it to be a safe space, so we're constantly building each other up as we're going through that program. And so that's where the confidentiality, and then the commitment agreement is also really important, because we don't want you to get to the point where, again, we know we're all busy, life happens, we're getting pulled and tugged in different directions, but when it comes to the point where it looks like we're working harder on your business than you are, then we're going to say, hey, maybe this isn't the right time for you to be building this. And that's okay, right? Some of the best ideas have been met with the worst timing, and they never reach fruition, right? And so that's really important. And that's what we're going to start focusing on the second half of this course. And so before we dive into the program materials, one of the things we really look at is making sure that this works for you where you are right now. But when it comes to providing support to help build an MVP, that is something we're very committed to. But we need to know that you are vested, right? And so if it comes time where, you've come to maybe, a class here or there, you barely submitted any of your assignments, you're not responding to anything, but it's like, hey, you guys didn't help me with the MVP. Yeah, because we don't even know what you're doing right now, right? And so you have to put in so we can understand how to support you, to make sure we're giving you information that go in the right direction, because we don't want to help build out an MVP on unfertile soil, right? We need to know that the things and resources that we're giving you, you have the capacity to grow and run with it. And so that's really important in how we build. And so that's what those agreements really just kind of focus on, in terms of really having those pieces together. So far, so good? All right, so we're going to go into the next portion. So one of the things that, Edit has been around for, I think, about 6 or 7 years. I can't recall. I feel like I've been doing this for a while. And so one of the things we learned early on is like entrepreneurship is no joke. And majority of us, especially as women and founders of color, we don't have the luxury of following the standard entrepreneurship rhetoric of quit your job, start a business, take out a loan for mom and dad or family members, right? Like that's normally not our stories, right? Oftentimes, if we do that, we'll be homeless, broke, and hungry. And so understanding that we have to be very realistic in how we do entrepreneurship, and has to be a model that fit our lives. So entrepreneurship for a lot of us is our part-time job, right? This is after we've, done a full day of work, we've had, dealt with kids or other life responsibilities, and then you have to sit here and focus. But what makes entrepreneurship hard is because entrepreneurship happens during your unstructured time, right? Like it's really easy to do the day work because during the day, there is someone you have to report to. There are deliverables, there are things that are calling your time, right? So I spend a lot of time saying we spend most of our time in firefighter mode, right? We're focused on the next fire, right? And it's kind of like, okay, what's the fire, right? Entrepreneurship doesn't always present itself as a fire. So it's really easy to kind of set aside and be like, okay, I'll do that later. Oh, I'm really tired now, right? Or even the best, right? Like, okay, I'm going to work on my business. I work 9 to 5. I'm going to work on my business 6 to 10. You get home at 6, you sit on the couch and you decompress, you get you something to eat. Next thing you know, it's 9:30 at night. And you're like, what happened to my day, right? Like, okay, tomorrow, I'm on it tomorrow. Oh, but that game is on. Oh, okay, wait, no, I got my soccer game. Oh, all right. And life keeps happening. And then you're 2-3 years later and you cannot get out of start, right? And so one of the biggest thing is understanding how to manage that time and how to really build your business for you and where you are right now. So launch planning is something that we added on. And so this is kind of like Edit Sub-Zero that we added on out of the requests of our entrepreneurs, because we in a real time saw a lot of entrepreneurs come through our program with amazing ideas, but they were already dealing with very full plates, and entrepreneurship on top of it toppled them. We've watched some of our entrepreneurs go through some serious mental health crisis in the breakdown because it's heavy and it's a lot, and we get that, right? Because the thing what we don't want, you build this amazing business that you can't enjoy because you're, hauled off at some facility trying to, recover from building that amazing business, right? Your business doesn't happen in a vacuum from you. You are a part of your business. And so therefore you have to build your business for where you are in your life right now. And so those are the things that oftentimes they don't tell you on this journey that we often find out the hard way. And so we build this into the program. And like I said, some of you, this might be light years beyond you and you don't need it. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt and help refine your modules. And for some of you, this might be new. And so I'll show you a couple different ways to go through it. I'll start off talking a little bit more about me. Like I mentioned, I'm the director of the Collaboratory. I'm also the founder of Deep Design LLC, and I didn't have the other company, Kids Hack. So I started my company shortly around the time I started doing Edit. And so it was like a lot to juggle, but it was fun because I was teaching as I was learning. So I don't have a business background. I'm an engineer at the heart, true and true. And I stumbled into business, and it was really pushing me outside of my comfort zone. And I made a lot of mistakes. And like I can remember my first cohort where I like got in trouble with the IRS, and I'm like, hey guys, don't do this. You know what I mean? And so there are a lot of stumbling blocks, but a lot of this program was built out of things that I struggled with. When I started off into entrepreneurship, it felt like I'd gone through boot camps, I'd gone through all these entrepreneurship programs, and it felt like I'd watch a cooking show. I had all the ingredients, I had all the steps, but I couldn't get out of start. I couldn't figure out how to take that next step. And so with that, I built a program that kind of addressed people like me who like, we kind of know, but we're missing a critical piece, right? In addition to being an entrepreneur and running the Collaboratory, I love my family, outdoors, and adventures. I'm always on the go, and I'm not sacrificing any of that to build my business. I love my business, but I love me. So everything I say, I am living real time. I have a half Ironman this upcoming Saturday. And so you can imagine trying to launch Edit, and I was sick for the past 2 weeks and trying to put in 4 hours of training the last 4 days to make up for the last 2 weeks. So I've been all over the place, but it is where we are. And it's one of those things that you have to find the things that drive you, and you don't sacrifice that, right? Because you are a part of your business. Oftentimes you hear investors say when they invest into a business, they invest into you, right? I need to know know that you can sell the part, right? If you have a doctor that's telling you about all your bad eating habits that is ruining your diet, but he's a chain smoker, you're going to look at him with a side eye like, yeah, no, right? And so you have to be able to be that, you're the first voice of your business, you're the first face of your business. And so all of that also depends on your happiness and your ability to walk that part. So I co-create practical and technical solutions with underserved audience, and that is kind of my life work, including what I do at the Collaboratory, including what I did in some of my previous roles. So that is me in a nutshell. The program, the process I'm going to explain to you is not something I fully created. I borrowed this from a professor named Carrie Rockamore. Prior to running the Collaboratory, I was a professor in the computer science department. And so as faculty, there's a lot you have to juggle. And so we learned a lot of tools from other resources. And so I bring some of that here because I realized some of the same challenges I was experiencing in launching a business in terms of managing it all were some of the same things I was trying to manage when I was faculty. So I'm just giving a credit to where credit is due. All right, so let's talk about the entrepreneur slant. And this is kind of what I was talking about before. Pause for a second. I talk really fast when I get excited. So if I'm going a mile a minute and y'all can't really catch on, pause me at any time and I will slow down. And so I will do my best to be mindful of that. But like I said, when I get excited, I start to fly. So you can just kind of flag me and be like, hey, you know what I mean? Or shoot me a message. I'm there with you. Any questions so far before we jump in? Okay, all right. We're gonna probably not go the whole time tonight. We're gonna probably try to get out of here early, but I really wanna make sure you guys have a good sense of this and be able to put some of these pieces in place because this is really important as we build, and we'll talk through it as we go. All right, here we go. So the entrepreneurial slam is one of the biggest challenges of entrepreneurship, that unstructured time that I was talking about, buried in time-consuming commitments, right? The tendency to unconsciously prioritize seemingly urgent and unimportant tasks that needs neglecting our own health, well-being, relationships, and long-term success, lack of clarity about how much time startup and administrative tasks actually take, and institutional cultures where everyone works all the time, right? And so these are some of the things that we come into entrepreneurship with, right? Like I am the queen of productive procrastination. If there is something related to my business or just something I need to do that I really don't want to do, somehow the things that I have been putting off forever have become super, super important. Like I hate cleaning out my car. Like my car looks like a death trap and I've lived in it for 20 years is what it looks like. But if there's something I really don't want to do, all of a sudden I can't do anything else but clean out my car that day. It is the most important thing and I cannot live another moment unless this is done, right? And so I recognize that about myself, and I recognize when I'm doing that, I'm running away from something that I'm just having a hard time unpacking, and it's just too much for me to process. And so I'm now make something else priority, right? And so it's really just that unconscious process of prioritizing what seems really urgent right now, but it's really just my escape because it's helping me manage. It's something that I can wrap my head around and manage when these other pieces aren't, right? Entrepreneurship, sometimes there is no clear road to entrepreneurship, and I apologize to anybody with an MBA because I always get in trouble when I say this. We cannot teach entrepreneurship, right? You can get a degree to learn the resources, the tools of how to go through it, but your entrepreneurship journey is yours. It is something that's going to be different from everyone else, right? And it is truly trial by fire. And as a result of it, there is a huge amount of lack of clarity as you go through it, right? And there's going to be points where you have to make decisions that no one really knows the right way but you, right? And you feel like you don't know. And that is just what entrepreneurship is, kind of getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, getting comfortable with that lack of clarity, right? And sometimes that puts us in a very uncomfortable space. And so we tie ourselves up with the things that puts us in a safe zone, right? And that institutional culture, remember I said that habit of, when we hear about entrepreneurs, it's like you work sun up to sundown and this is what you do. And if you're truly, truly committed to your entrepreneurship endeavor, then you are, no sleep, you're putting your house up for it, you're doing everything for it. That doesn't work for all of us. And not to say that model is not successful. That is one model, but there are multiple, and you have to find what works best for you. So keys to a successful launch. The keys to a successful launch: 1, knowing what your needs as a human are, as a human being, what you need to accomplish as an entrepreneur, right? 2, creating a realistic plan to meet all of your needs, right? 3, building or connecting with the type of support and accountability that will sustain and motivate you through the ups and downs of your launch. This is going to be a hard look at you and knowing what you need and being real with yourself, right? And that is going to be very important to your journey, right? Like I said, I know me, I need outside time. And if I spend all my time in front of a computer, after a while, I'll start spinning my wheels and not making progress. I need to go outside. I need to be decompressed. Realistic planning is my weakest point, right? I always use myself as an example. I'm the kind of person that think I can get 24 hours worth of work in 2 hours. And then I'm kicking myself for not getting it done. It's like, I can't believe you were so unproductive. When in actuality, that plan was never realistic to begin with, right? So realistic planning is one of the biggest things that we need to think about in all aspects of our lives. Because again, entrepreneurship doesn't happen in a bubble. And then building that support, right? That accountability, understanding what you respond to. Some of us are really great locking ourselves in a room and grinding. Some of us, we need that human contact. I need to be around other people. I need to use these resources and tools. I need someone to know that I'm on task, right? Like I need to be cheered on. Know that about yourself, and then you create the systems to get you there. So your launch plan. So if I know some of you guys were in transit before, hopefully you are sitting still somewhere and you have access to a computer or pen and paper or something, because like I said, a lot of the class that we do, a lot of things that we do here is about engagement. And so instead of me saying, go do it on your own and hoping that you're doing it, we're going to make sure we do some of this now, because if you build this system in place right now, then as you go through this course and you start to get frustrated, you have a plan to help guide you. So what we're going to do is you're going to build your launch plan, right? There are 5 steps to it. So you're creating and implementing your launch goal. You're going to identify your goals. Start thinking about your goals, and I'm going to break those down in a second. Your business goals, and then map out the steps to accomplishing those goals. Introducing those projects to your launch calendar, choosing appropriate accountability mechanism and support system, and working the plan, right? It requires knowing what, how, and when, all right? So I'm gonna give you guys a second to either get near whatever resources you need to capture some of this or kind of think through these, and then we're gonna start diving in. I shared a file with you we're gonna use shortly, and that was on a majority of you have had Gmail accounts. And so I shared a Google Excel spreadsheet that we'll talk through in a second, but I want you to really think through these different pieces. All right, questions so far before we dive in? See if any hands are raised, I can't see all the images on my screen, so I'll skim really quickly. All right, looks like we're in business. All right, here we go. So as we said, the process, hold on, I got too many Zoom stuff in the way. There we go. All right, so planning process, identifying goals, mapping the steps, projects, meet calendar, right? Do not be intimidated before I jump into this, right? Some people cannot handle too much scheduling. It overwhelms them. Know yourself, know that about yourself. Some people, AKA me, I cannot work with unstructured time. I'm like hardcore ADHD. I need every minute of my life structured. Otherwise, I'm chasing squirrels. Who knows what I'm doing, right? And so understand, if some of this feels overwhelming, I'm going to show you multiple ways of doing it, but you have to do what works for you, right? So everything I show is not going to be good for everybody, and you have to find the model that works for you. All right, so launching your plan. So I'm going to give you guys, I'm gonna set my calendar. I want you to think about 3 goals, right? Only 3 goals. The number is 3. You can do less than 3, but no more than 3 business goals that you want to focus on for the next 3 weeks, right? And this is really important because we like to list out all the amazing things we want to accomplish, but you're going to realize 10 weeks is really not a lot of time. So I want you to write down 3 goals for your business. And I'm going to give you a minute to think that through. All righty, how we doing? We're good? All righty. Anybody needs a 30 seconds more or anything? All right. Now I want you to think of 3 personal goals. You don't have to share this with us. These are your personal goals, right? Because again, we're not building entrepreneurship in a vacuum. So your life is happening as you're building this business. So write down your 3 personal goals for the next 10 weeks. Normally this course is 12 weeks, or no, it actually normally makes sense. The course is always 10 weeks. It makes sense to plan 12 weeks, 3 months at a time is how people think of things quarterly. But for now, because the course is 10 weeks, we're planning for 10 weeks. So think of your 3 personal goals for the next 3 weeks. I mean, I keep saying 3 weeks, 10 weeks. It could be anything, learn, learn a new hobby, lose weight, or wake up early, go to bed on time, pick out whatever those 3 goals and what you want them to be, right? And write those down. All righty, how are we doing on those goals? This is like taking people's like New Year's resolution or whatever resolution and making them smart and actionable. So this is your business goals resolution, whatever you want to call it, and we're making them actionable. All righty, so we have our 3 goals. All right, so here's what I want you to think through. When we often think about our big goals, the reason they're so hard to accomplish and meet is because they're so big. And we don't always know how big that they are, right? And so what we have to do is you have to unpack it to realize all the things it's gonna happen, all the things it's gonna take to make that goal happen, right? And these are, and this is the only way we're really going to be able to make them actionable is to make them bite-sized, right? And so I give you a goal here. Say one of my business goals at the 10 weeks was to create a pitch deck, right? So what do I have to do to create a pitch deck, right? I need to set up my documents, right? All the stuff about my business that I'm going to pull from. So all the stuff that I'm going to build in this program, my revenue model, my customer base, all these things, I'm pulling these documents together, right? Project story, I got to tell a story. I can't just throw it on there. It has to make sense. And so I got to write out that story. I need to analyze the market. So I got to do my market research. You know what I mean? I need to get a team together. Like I've talked to some people, but I haven't really solidified it, right? So those are some of the things I want to kind of get together for my pitch deck, right? But then those are still big. So those are those sub goals, and my sub goals have sub goals, right? So it's like my problems got problems, right? And so it's that my sub goals have sub goals. So I take that first one and say, set up my documents, right? Well, I don't have all of my documents, right? I need to kind of maybe talk to a few people, get some ideas and some just suggestions to help fill in some of those gaps. Find other existing materials. There's that stuff that I wrote a couple weeks back. So we're talking about at the 10-week mark of the course, I probably wrote some stuff at week 1 or 2. And, I'm trying to really kind of think through like, where did I put that? Like, oh, wow, I did that while we were driving. So that's kind of on the back of a napkin, probably stuck to my dashboard somewhere, right? I need to find all these existing materials and pull them together, right? And then I got to do some online research because there's some stuff that, I really just need to be solid on as I'm putting this pitch deck together, right? And those are my sub goals for just setting up my documents, right? But the thing is, right, that is still big, right? And I can't put that on my schedule, right? I don't know how to break these down for my schedule. So the way we do it is you keep breaking down your goals to sub goals until you reach a point where they are schedulable. And my rule of thumb is 30-minute increments, right? Because we're all busy and everyone says, I would do these great things in my business if I had more time. But if you break your goals down into 30 minutes, it's amazing how you can find 30-minute increments in your day, right? You're in the car waiting on somebody, or, you know, a meeting ended and you're waiting for another meeting to start, or you got home later than you planned, but early enough before you go to bed, or you're heating up your food in your microwave, right? Whatever it is, you can find that 30-minute increment as you go through your day, and you can fit these chunks in, and you can be like, okay, I can make that contact list right now, right? I can, you know, shoot this quick text for a coffee date, right? And so I break it down, you keep breaking them down into these small increments, and now you can start to add them to your schedule, right? And even though it seems like it's a lot of little things, it's the little things that add up to the big things. And this might not seem a lot, but this is where our time gets lost, right? Because think about that coffee date, right? And that coffee date might save you a whole lot of time and the type of materials you have to read, because that person has a whole lot amount of domain expertise. But scheduling it might take some time, right? And you actually have to do that coffee date. So that's another hour of your time, or hour and a half. You got to drive there, you got to meet with them, you got to sit there for an hour. All those things, that takes time, right? And as we start to think about these different things in terms of what those times look like on our schedule, this is what helps us really start to identify that, right? And so being able to map out your steps to your goals is going to be very critical. And that's why I said only 3, because you see how this one goal really just blew up on us, right? And this was just only one goal, one sub goal, and how all these pieces kind of come together. Imagine when you start to fill into a lot of these other pieces. And remember, I said, I know this can be overwhelming, but I just want you to just start thinking those things out, right? So what I want you to do, is I want you to take one goal, one of your business goals, and I want you to write down the sub goal for that business goal, right? And then break that down to its sub goals until, like I said, these are in small chunks that they are schedulable. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to work on that. And let me know if you have questions. Put questions in the chat or shoot your hand up. Again, if you don't know what you don't know, and we are here to help you figure it out. All righty. How do we do in breaking those goals down? I see some nods. Y'all seem satisfied. Okay, I got some pros in the house. All right, Lisa, I like the honesty, you know. Sometimes in that process, you realize like it's not all cookies and creams. All righty, so that was just goal one. And so like I said, hopefully you got a chance to, and it's okay if you don't quite get it as fleshed out as this one is. This might be something you're going to revisit as you go through it, because for some of you, you're so new in the process, you're still learning out these pieces. And so we're going to revisit this at the end of the program, because when you leave it's really easy to be structured during a cohort, because we're telling you, okay, work on this week, work on this week. But I want you guys to get in the practice of doing this now. So when we're not here, you have your plan that you're constantly working, and you're trying to think through, how am I going to iterate through this, right? All right, so in this, you do the same thing for goal 2, and we'll talk about that. We're going to do breakout rooms shortly, so you can kind of think through goal 2 and 3, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to break those goals out, and like I said, if you realize, man, it's going to take a whole lot to get goals 1 and 2, and you really just need to focus on 2, that's okay, right? Because you want to just be able to kind of really dig deep and get those things done for your business. All right, so this is an example, right? And like I said, some of this we pulled from writing. And so this was an example of adding it to your calendar. And this for me is probably the most daunting task, because like I said, I'm always queen of unrealistic, right? And so I'm the kind of person that's like, okay, I'm gonna write all these goals out, all these sub-states. When it comes time to putting them on the calendar, it's like, hold on, wait, we only get 24 hours a day. Where's this gonna go, right? And so that's where the rubber meets the road when you're trying to add these things to your calendar. And so you really want to kind of think about again, we have our personal goals and our entrepreneurship goals, right? And they're happening in parallel, right? Our lives are happening the whole time we're running this program. I mean, the whole time you're building your business, right? And so this is just kind of an example of what an entrepreneurship calendar can look like, right? So take, for example, one of the things I always tell people, and I shared a calendar with you guys that we're going to step through in a second. Before you put anything business, goal, etc. on your calendar, look at the dates of the calendar and think about what are hard, set, fast, like these things are unmovable things happening, right? Family vacations, if you have kids, back to school, right? I used to be the queen of lying to myself, and I would go home like during Christmas hot break, and I'm gonna do all this work, and I'll take all my resources with me, and when I walk into my mom's house, and I'll leave them by the door, and I pick them up on my way out a week later, and I did absolutely nothing. But I had these great plans of how I was going to, be so productive and I stopped lying to myself. Just block that stuff off your schedule and be like, this is not happening. I'm going on a family vacation, but when everyone else is off to the pool, I'm going to do work. Don't lie to yourself. Like, just be real. If it happens, it's a win. But be real, right? Again, your business is being built while you're living your life. And so go ahead and block off those times, those things that are coming up, those holidays, whatever you already have planned, even if it's work related. You have a big deadline for, your day job. You have a big project coming up. You have whatever it is, block those things off first. So you're not trying to compete with them as you're putting them on your schedule, right? And then after that, you can kind of put in the pieces that make sense. Okay, I want to be able to get this done by this date. I want to be able to get this done, and it ties to goal 1, goal 1, sub goal A, B, whatever it is. You want to be able to put those things on your calendar, right? And it's not until it becomes on your calendar that it becomes real. And you guys, I'm not sure what you all use for your calendar sources. I use like Google Calendar. Some people use Microsoft products, whatever it is. But I like the alerts. Some people find that too much. You got to, again, know what works for you and what you respond to, because it can be a little overwhelming to have like 50 million notifications. And I know, like, for example, Katie's the non-notification person. She just needs to know what she has to get done and work through that. For me, if I don't get a notification, like the phone ring and I'm sitting here for the next 20 minutes, like, what was I working on? All right. And so I need that to kind of stay on task. So know yourself, right? And so what you're going to do is, like I said, you're going to add these things to your calendar, and we're going into breakout rooms, because this is kind of one of the things that people get stuck at. But before we do that, I want to kind of briefly go into the next step. So, because once we go into the calendar, we might run out of time. So once we add it to your calendar, which we're going to do in a second, is you want to think about accountability, right? Having something like, and this is where people's like New Year's plans fail. You wrote out a great plan, a schedule, and you put it down and you pick it up next New Year and be like, I ain't do none of that, right? Have a way of how do you know, like, what are your milestones? How are you going to stay accountable? Some people don't need accountability and some of us can't survive without them, right? And so you have to figure out what accountability works for you, right? Do you need to work on site? Do I need to be in a co-working space or somewhere else where other like-minded people are working? Do I need to be at a coffee shop? Whatever the space that's needed, how do I get there and how do I carve out that time, right? Would online support work for me, right? There's so many of these focusing apps and accountability platforms where you and other people are y'all just grinding. And every time you sit there and stare in their space, they're like, hey, what you doing? Get focused, right? Some of us, that's enough, right? Or you can join accountability groups, right? That was one of the biggest things that got me through grad school. I had multiple accountability groups because I really do get off focus like that. And so I had in-person groups that I met with, and then I had my virtual groups where we were across, the US, but we had our times where we got on there. It's like, hey, what's your goal today? All right, great. What's your goal for the next 10 minutes? All right. And we'll set an alarm, right? After 10 minutes or 30 minutes, what did you accomplish? Nothing. Okay, let's readjust because you're apparently off task, right? And so you have to find ways to actually get through this that work for you, that you respond to, right? And the biggest thing about entrepreneurship, you learn so much about yourself as you go through this journey, but you really have to be honest with yourself and what works best for you, right? And so again, working the plan. So once you finish your plan, we might not be able to finish your plan here. We might only be able to get to 1 or 2 goals and get them to your calendar. Please finish your plans if you don't do anything else, because what we're going to discover as we go through the program and you guys are really struggling, start falling behind on modules and you can't figure out why you can't keep up and life's happening. And I don't, the first thing we're going to ask, well, what was your plan? Right. And it's the old saying, if you did not plan to, what's the saying? If you didn't plan to, y'all remember? Go ahead, Atisha, I heard you, or I see your lips move. Go ahead.
You didn't plan to fail, you failed to plan.
There we go, right? Right. And so what we're trying to do is get you out of your own way, right? And so this is really important for you to be able to see, like, if you already had a jam-packed life, an overwhelming schedule of things, and you're saying, now I'm going to add this new thing, does that make sense for you right now? Some people operate amazingly in chaos and overwhelm and lack of sleep. Do you, right? If that's how you build, do you? But we want to make sure that you take into consideration that you're a whole person as you're building this business and stepping into greatness, right? So finishing your plan, contact a mentor, right? And so we're going to have some mentorship as we go through this program, but I always push people to find your own mentors, right? And we can talk about more about doing that, but really try to think about how do you get that mentor support? Consciously decide what you want to share with that mentor. And we'll talk about how to connect with mentors and being really smart and making sure that you have a good mentoring relationship, because that's really important. I get people reach out to me all the time and say, will you mentor me? Sure. 50% of them will never follow up. And then the ones that follow up, and I'm like, okay, how can I help you? Great. All right, do X, Y, and Z. 75% of them will never come back because they didn't have time to do anything they asked me to help them do in the first place. So I'm like, I'll take everybody, because half of you, like less than 1% will actually be like, I did what you said. I had time to do these steps and now I need more help. So I'm like, I got all time in the world because I know none of y'all ain't coming back, right? And so be mindful of that when you're asking mentors. They're very protective of their time, but they love to help others if you have a clear plan of engagement. And we can talk more about that as we go through. Determine beforehand what you need advice and feedback on. And this is where the plan comes into play. Know where you are in your business. Like, you can't be like, well, I need to figure out how to raise, $5 million for my business. Okay, what is your business? Well, I'm not sure. Stop playing, right? So you want to be able to make sure you know what your ask is at all times with your business, and it makes sense for the stage that you are in. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing on that, and I'm going to switch gears to the spreadsheets. Any questions so far? Tisha, did you have a question? Oh, no, okay. All right. So I tried to, do you guys a favor, and I tried to create the spreadsheet so you don't have to do it on your own. So I shared this with you And I shared it in view mode for the simple fact, I made a mistake of sharing. Everybody was an editor and everybody was trying to edit on top of the same thing and it was chaos. So lessons learned. So what I want you to do with what I shared, go to file, make a copy. And so you can have your own copy that you can edit. And then you can go through and put your stuff in. So there's a couple different ways that you can go about putting this on a calendar, right? And like I said, you have to know what works for you, right? And what's overwhelming for you, discard, take what you can and run with it, right? So normally I start off with weeks of the year. So I just put it to the end of the year. I'm really just asking you guys to do the next 10 weeks, but you can, again, this is something you can use well beyond our program. And so you want to kind of think about those weeks. And so what I try to think about, one thing that helps me when I'm thinking about the goals for my business, what category does it fall under, right? Am I refining my business model? And is this something that's going to help me launch my business? Is this helping me build my customer base? And this is something that we can dissect as we go through the program. If you don't know just yet, you're just putting your goals in, that's fine. But I provided this model, this template, so that to kind of help you parse out those goals. And again, we're only working on 3 goals, right? And so 3 or less, right? And so one way you can do it is kind of a week by week approach of like, here's kind of where I want to work on things on each week. If you are like me, like I said, and you need more granular, the other thing I do is like I break it down by month, right? But again, I'm going to pick the areas that my 3 goals fall under. And so these are grayed out because these are things I'm probably going to work on, in the next 10 weeks, right? I'm going to work on at some point in time later, right? Like I'm not at a place where I need to think about raising capital. I'm still trying to figure out where my business is at, right? So the month of May, we might just be here, right? On refining the business model, right? And it might be June, we're thinking about launching a business because I'm just now figuring out what my business, or month of May might just be building that technology, right? Or actually that's after you find your business model. Yes, so understanding order of operations. So I kind of have these for May, June, and July. You can change these tabs to whatever you want. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a starting point to think through this. On a more granular level, and again, this is me because I am an overscheduler. You don't have to do anything like this, and I don't show this to overwhelm you, but it's just, I know what I need to operate. I have to sometimes then break my stuff down on a day-by-day basis, right? And so for each one of these items, I'm like, okay, this is going to take me about 4 hours, right? And that's kind of me breaking down those chunks. And in that 4 hours, I know I procrastinate. Like that's part of my process, right? When I say I'm going to sit down and write something, I know I'm going to daydream for a little bit. I respect me and my process. So it's like, okay, for a normal person, it might take 4 hours. This is going to be 8 hours for me. I just know me, right? And then I look at my schedule, right? Like what are the ways I can build this in per that week, right? And then I kind of look at all the other things. And so this is related to like, work stuff, but these are all the things, right, that I have. So if you think about your goals and your sub goals, your coffee dates, those emails, all of that, you're putting them in here, right? And so each subsection is the goal and then the sub task that it falls under, right? And then I'm adding it to my calendar. And remember I said I do everything in 30-minute chunks. What you don't see is I have a version of this that also includes my personal stuff on the calendar. I stopped sharing that. I had an issue one cohort and I was showing that like, I get up at 4:45 in the morning to start my day. And I had one of my entrepreneurs that started calling me at 4:30 in the morning. She's like, I know you up. And I'm like, yes, but not for you. And so I'm really big on self-care. And so my first 2 hours of the day is for me. And she was like, well, I have a question and this is the best time for me. Yes, no, not for you. So I started, so this one just shows my work stuff, but my calendar, again, it reflects, first, again, I go through and I put in the things that, are blocked off, like my work meetings, all those things. And then I put in my entrepreneurship 30-minute increments wherever I can fit them in, right? And as I'm putting in these pieces, as I get to the end of the week, I'm seeing, okay, like I was able, like, I only got 4 hours to work on my business this week. Okay, great. I got 30 minutes here before work. I got 30 minutes, I'm fitting that time in. And so this is my way of being able to put it on my schedule. And this goes from here to my Google Calendar. And I'll have it, this will be like my Sunday night activity, have it mapped out. And I don't have to touch it again unless something comes up and then it's like Rubik's Cube. I'm moving it around and I might have an off week where like, I ain't doing none of this. And that's fine, right? Because I'm just shifting it, right? And so I'll just kind of take something like this and just shift this to the next week. This might be overwhelming for you. If you are not a scheduler, like if scheduling is overwhelming, that is totally okay, right? You have to find what works for you. And so what I want you guys to do is at least kind of use either the weekly one or just, the month or whichever, and start adding things, breaking down those business goals, that goal number one, or if you've done more than one. And we're going to go into some breakout rooms just because I want to hear you guys kind of talk through some of these things and see how it goes in terms of putting it on your schedule. And it feels too overwhelming, that means you have to break it down a little smaller, right? Until it fits on your schedule, right? And so we're going to do some breakout rooms. So let me stop sharing so we can get there. All right. All right, JB, we're ready?
Yep, I'll go ahead and open the rooms for you.
All right, breakout rooms are open. So Katie and JB will help you guys navigate that space. And if you have questions, I'll be floating and everyone's gone, so yay.
Where do you want me to go, JB?
Hold on, move Sylvia's last. Okay.
You-
Wanda.
Whichever, you guys just could take a room and I'll just shuffle through in case anybody's stuck.
Okay.
Oh, we have 3 rooms. Oh, I thought we had 2. Okay.
So we can all go to a room.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, I'll go to 2.
Can you put me in it? For some reason, my it's not showing up, the breakout rooms on mine.
Okay.
It's tough.
I could put Katie in 1.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm gonna join 2. Okay.
Okay. You good, Katie? You see it? Yeah, she's there. All right, and I'll go to 3. All right, we're back together. How did that go for you guys? I know it was fast, but I really wanted you guys to kind of feel it out first. And I know it's easy because we all just meeting each other to kind of get in a room and start chatting, but I wanted y'all to kind of think through some of those different pieces. And I heard some of your goals and they were awesome. But in breaking down those sub goals, I really wanted you guys to kind of think through like making them actionable. So really thinking about what is it you're physically doing, right? And I know it sounds tedious and annoying, but it makes a big of a difference when you're overwhelmed with 50 million things going on. And this is an important habit to learn now, because as your businesses grow and you got stuff coming at you from all these different pieces, and it's like, well, I need to do this. Well, what is that? What does that look like, right? Because I can't put time on certain things if I can't think about like, what are the metrics for it, right? How do I know that I've reached this goal, right? If my goal is I'm gonna, write the vision or the abstract to my pitch deck or whatever, right? How do I know I've done that, right? Like what, I mean, yes, words on paper, but like, how do I get there, right? Like I'm going to sit there and look at a blank paper. What resources about my business am I pulling from, right? I heard someone in one group talk about like, market research or just doing research, right? That's kind of a big thing for a lot of us at this stage, doing research. I'm going to do research. What does that mean, right? Like that is like literally drinking from a fire hydrant. I'm going to do research. We're living in an information age where doing research is not like opening up an encyclopedia. Yeah, I'm dating myself, right? It's really so many different places that we can get information from, and you need to be able to break that down, right? All the ways you can do research, right? You can do a Google search. You can talk to other people, right? You can schedule time with people who are experts in this space, right? And even different aspects, not just your business, not just your product, but in like, that specific domain that you're in, right? All of those count as research, right? And all of them take time. And if you can't think about breaking them down into those increments, then how are you going to actually make time for it, right? And so that's why I'm really pushing, and I know it's kind of like I said, tedious. I really push you guys to really kind of think about them in those increments. So talk to me. How did that round go?
Good.
Okay.
I'll say good.
I think we did like a quick first pass, right? And so now we realize we need to dive a bit deeper into what we were talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think ours was very good, actually. Yeah.
All right. What did you guys get into? What was your sub? Give me your Dale, give me a breakdown of one of your goals into some sub goals. Talk to me.
All right, sure. So I was actually is it on? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay. So I was actually speaking about trying to how to incorporate the reality augmentation project into the material. And of course I didn't know exactly, that was one of my goals that I had wrote down. I was like, well, how am I going to do that? What am I going to focus on? And I kind of told that it wouldn't have been easy to just do that in 30-minute increments. But then Ms. White went ahead and told me to break it down even further and stuff. So like use a scene or something like that. So it helped to put things in perspective, like how deep do I have to go in order for this to become obtainable, like this goal to be obtainable.
Nice. That sounds really productive. All right. Chris, you had something to say?
Oh, well, I'm launching goals, and one of them, like you said, I think you overheard me saying marketing. I just wanted to reach my target audiences, and some of like the sub goals that I was told, because I thought about it, but I never really like thought that it was such an integral part of the beginning phase. And some of them were like types of customers that I'll be talking to. Where are they getting their information from? How are they finding out about me? What are they reading and who do they trust? What does it cost me to keep their attention and learning some of their habits? These are just one of the sub goals for just one of my goals. Did you want to know all three or?
No, that's fine. That's fine. If you guys feel like you got this, then you know, we could wrap it up. We can go another round. I really want you just to like I want it to go from paper to calendar to practice, right? And so you can actually work the plan. So I want to use as much of this time to help you guys with that. But if you feel like I'm good on this, like this is my like domain of expertise, I can do this in my sleep, then we won't push it any longer. If not, we can do another round for about 10 minutes. And then you guys can kind of work the rest on your own. What are your thoughts? Lisa, I saw your hand up.
May I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So I guess my original, when I first heard you, when you first said like 3 goals, the only 3 business goals, you first I thought said like for 3 weeks. I go, oh, okay, so I wrote a couple. And then you said, oh, no, just those 3 for 10, right?
Yes, sorry.
My goals. But I looked at him and I'm like, oh, so I thought 20 million things, like how Christopher was just going, 100, 10 questions can come from that one thing. So I guess originally, I'm not sure my goal is even prioritized well, and if I may share it. So it's the first one I wrote was, I want a final draft of my like personal service agreement, like my contract when I go to talk to someone. But I was sharing with my group, like no one's even asked me for one. Like, I don't think that's a valid goal for me right now. Like, why do I need that right now? Because it's something I've already got. It's like, seems easy that I could proofread it, cross-check it with someone, and be done and save a final draft. But I think it's a waste of time almost. It's not a good goal.
And that's something that we learned going through this process, right? We set a goal and that goal doesn't actually give us as much as we're hoping to get out of it. And it's okay.
Okay. I don't think it's not business building.
And it's okay to shift gears. And that's kind of what you're looking. Once you see it on paper, it's like, that's a nice goal, but am I getting as much bang for my buck at a time? Like, it's something I want, but not what I need right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna rethink my goals.
Okay. And Lisa brought up a good point on something I want us to kind of look over. So when I gave this example before where goal 1 kind of really blew up, you might realize that focusing on goal 1 might not be feasible in 10 weeks. And so what you might have to do is focus on the sub goal of goal 1, because sometimes some of our goals are so big that when they blow up in terms of all these sub goals, it's not feasible. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm just going to focus on this one for 10 weeks, like that first sub goal, or I'm going to focus on this one because it's going to take me, some time. That's okay, right? And you just kind of back that up, and what this becomes your focus for the 10 weeks, right? Understanding that this is part of a larger structure. So you have to understand like how much time these goals take. And this is why we do this, so we see how they flesh out. Go ahead, Chris. You're muted.
Sorry. I just had a question. So should we just create like I guess, community page for all of our goals so that we can like share our ideas so that we can find out what's more business oriented instead of like personal?
Yeah, so we could do that in the forum, in the course site. So that's definitely where we want you guys to use that space for. This is, like I said, so you can kind of tweak your own goals, but this is, Katie, that's something they can do in the forum, right? You still, yeah, there.
Yeah, that's absolutely something that you can do in the forum. You can create a new discussion that says like feedback on my goals, or you can just put it in the introduction one, whatever you want to do. And then we can all kind of, help each other out, give feedback, maybe get ideas from reading other people's. I love that idea, Chris. So yeah, feel free to use the forums for that.
Okay.
All right. Any other quick questions?
Yes. So we was told that we had to communicate amongst one another. Do we have to post our own discussions in the discussion board, or do we get, I guess, the points for speaking on someone else's discussion board as well? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so there's no real points per se, but what we want you to do is we do want to foster that engagement and have you guys, there's such a power in group brainstorming and using each other's brains. And as an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, and Wanda is, and JB is, and I think we can all say that if you try to go to your personal friends over and over and over again, they start to they start to fade a little bit. It's just overwhelming because we have so many decisions as entrepreneurs that we would like feedback on. So use each other because you guys care about it. You're going through the process together. Use each other because it's like an endless source of interest, and you guys will learn so much. So yeah, no real points, but feel free we want you to post your own things and also to post on others people's and reply to each other and engage.
But more specifically, I want to tag in just to give you all comfort. We are going to follow up with an email tomorrow around what we talked about today. And I'll go ahead and we'll get a form created for our goals specifically so that you all can add them in there and see what everyone else is including as well. And then we can follow up with that on Wednesday.
Are we gonna have access to these recordings as well so that we can have reference to what we're, okay. Thank you.
So that being said, there's not the recordings of the breakouts. So things in breakouts are not recorded, and the chats in breakouts are not recorded either. However, there is a feature where you can save the chat if you want to from your breakouts. So there's like 3 little dots. And if anyone needs help with that, just let me know. But just wanted to point that out. Your breakouts are not recorded and the chat is not saved.
All righty.
May I ask Katie one question?
Sure.
So I'm on the 10 and 5, so I see the community. So the members is where we can talk with each other. I guess I'm confused with the general discussion. It says 10 and 5 announcements and general discussions, or the edit community. Where should we be?
That's an awesome question, Lisa. So I did not cover that. So the 10 and 5 incorporates the IP to market, the CEO training, and the other programs in the pipeline. Right now, you guys, the edit program is the only one that's in there, but soon they will be in there too. So all of them will have access to that general 10 and 5, and then they'll have their own forum for their cohort. So
Our edit community is
the edit community is this cohort. So you'll want to put the information like for most discussions and like working through the assignments in that edit community area, because that's just these folks that you see. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Send us all a good message.
Questions. And so we can just stay here and do Q&A, or if you guys prefer that, then going back in the breakout rooms. I really think this is a really good dialogue for us to kind of get some pieces. So either in the platform using the course site, or as you're going through your goals or sub goals, or just anything that we've discussed tonight, any questions on any of it so far that you just kind of, that are gelling with you. Go ahead, Chris.
So I know one other person that couldn't make it today. He just got off work and contacted me saying like if I was able to send any of this information to him, if possible. He's a part of the program. He got accepted.
If he's in the program, the materials will be accessible to him if he's already been admitted.
Okay. Thank you.
And a follow-up email will come up. So the information that we discussed today, the recording will be here, the link to get into the Zoom call, all of the information so that you have basically your onboard email will be coming within today and tomorrow so that you're prepared for Wednesday. And it's everybody in the 10 and 5 edit program.
Thank you.
Other questions? Y'all doing good? Anybody else want to share their gub and stuff? Oh, I see you, Ines, go ahead. You're muted, I think. Oh, no, there you go.
No, so I was gonna say, our homework for Wednesday is included in module 1, correct? I know that sounds like a silly question, but it's the rest of module 1. Okay.
So in module 1, where Katie showed you, click on start assignment, and it's those things, and as you do them, you check off. So being able to access the different pieces, and this is just assignment 1 is really just about you getting familiar with the platform and knowing how to access all the different components of it.
And keep working on those launch plans, like keep breaking things down and keep really thinking. So yeah, so those 2 things combined. And like JB said, she's going to send you an awesome email that's going to kind of summarize everything. But
other questions? All righty, y'all looking good. Okay, well, oh, Chris, you had another question?
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to, this is kind of personal. I'm trying to log in on the 10 and 5. And it sent me like a new password email, and then it sent me right back to the page of the 10 and 5 website. So how do I log in to my account if I just keep getting this loop?
Okay, good question. So anytime you run into any technical difficulties or have questions and you're not exactly sure, send an email to info@10and5.org and it'll get directed to the person that can assist you with that. And so we can try to troubleshoot now, but if you send that email, then either Katie or Nell will kind of get in on the back end and kind of figure out what's happening with that. But that is always going to be your kind of source of, I have a question and I'm not exactly sure how to kind of get through this. Send an email to info@10and5.org, and I think JB will put it in the chat. But that is going to be kind of your source of where you send. Thank you, JB. That is where you're going to send your questions to. So if you're having that problem, just shoot us a quick email of that and we'll get you squared away.
so Chris, I think what's happening to you is that there's certain parts of the site that for privacy are, when you try to get to that page, it will redirect you to the login. And I accidentally had the reset password page as a protected page. And so it sent you back to the login, which is a terrible loop to be stuck in. I've since fixed that. So what I would say is refresh your browser, and sometimes you can push like, shift as you're refreshing it, and that helps clear the browser cache, or try it in a different browser, but that should work. If you still have problems, I can reset your password for you and then you can just log in. There's lots of options, but I would start with the browser refresh and just, that's what's going on there. Sorry about that.
All righty. All right, so if we don't have any more questions, we're gonna give you 10 minutes back of your time tonight and we will see you guys on Wednesday. We'll start to dive into stuff. All right, everyone have a good night. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.